Hello, everyone's Forest Focus. It was a comfortable pass to round 4 of the FA Cup for Nottingham Forest as they beat Luton Town 2-0 at the City Ground today. We'll discuss goals for Yates and Sosa, who stood out, and the return of Danilo in the company of, first of all, Paul Morley. Paul, good evening. How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you. Very good. Enjoyed that almost as much as I enjoyed reading the comments on your Guardian article on there.
54 seconds in, that's all it took. We'll talk more about that on Monday because Greg's on Monday. But yeah, I've had a great time reading all the comments. Mark's been sharing them in the WhatsApp chat as well. There's been lots of fun and hilarity. My wife's been laughing at them as well. So yeah, all good stuff. Check out the piece in the Guardian if you haven't already, with me and Greg and Lisa Fox and a few other Forest fans. But thank you, Paul. Simon Fotheringham, how are you?
I'm very well, Matt. Thank you. Yeah, just reveling in another boring 2-0 win. It's great fun, isn't it, at the moment?
It is great fun. It is great fun. Mark Sutherns, how are you?
Good, yeah. Job done. That was the definition of job done, I think, that. So very happy to be in the hat and looking forward to the draw, and we don't fear anyone, and it's brilliant.
It certainly is. I'll just elaborate a bit more, Mark, on just general thoughts on what we witnessed. You keep saying it goes to plan. It actually kind of felt like it did, just follow the script there today. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously 11 changes, so none of our first 11 or none of the 11 that I expect to take the pitch on Tuesday night were on the pitch today. A few came on, of course, but that would be expected. So, yeah, we managed to make 11 changes and see off Championship opposition with some degree of comfort. I thought Luton played well, credit to them. I thought, Paul Trollope in charge today, wasn't he? Ex-Forest, of course, for a while under Houghton. And I thought he got a tune out of them. I thought they did very, very little wrong, didn't disgrace themselves at all, had some chances, but obviously, the class of even our second 11 was too much for them, and we saw it through. And it was a very professional performance by an 11 that looked really hungry. That was encouraging as well. I thought the energy and the hunger was there, which is what we've seen when those players have come off the bench, and it was there from the start. There were some standout performances. I don't expect any of that 11 to break into the team on Tuesday, as I say, but it's encouraging to see what the depth we've got.
Yeah, we'll come on to who stood out, certainly. I thought Luton did all right. The number, I don't know who it was actually, the youth who went off, who Ryan Yates took out of the game, basically, I thought was a good player, Nelson. And I'll come on to Yates and how he didn't get a booking as well, certainly. But one of the interesting things, Paul, when you go back to the start was, as Mark says, 11 changes, and no one complained. It was entirely predicted and welcomed, and we couldn't have done that. I mean, we probably tried it against Blackpool a year ago, I don't know, but it shows the depth of the squad, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think the biggest thing it did do when I saw the team sheet today, it gave us a pretty much clear idea of what's going to happen on Tuesday and who's going to be involved. I think probably the only question mark for me was whether we went with the back four and perhaps had Dominguez in midfield, and Morato would want to be on the bench if we were going to play a back three against Liverpool. But it looks as though I think we signalled that we're going to be 4-2-3-1 with Morato starting on the bench and probably Dominguez starting in midfield on Tuesday. So yeah, I think the sort of comments I've got written down are comfortable without being particularly dominant. As Mark said, the sort of quality shone through. And I think the key thing really was probably the timing of the goals, if any, more than anything. 5 minutes before half time, if we'd have got into half time, or if Luton had got into half time, 0-0, that would give them a big lift. Although having said that, they probably started a bit brighter than those first 10-15 minutes of the second half, say for the chance that Taiwo had. And then midway through the second half, pretty much killed off the game. And they had a few sort of moments after that, didn't they? But yeah, the timing of the goals was really crucial, I think, in just putting a lid on any head of steam that Luton were thinking about building up. It just sort of knocked them back down again and meant that we could stay in control for the full 90 pretty much.
Was it a day that ticked all the boxes for you, Bothers, in terms of obviously a 7th win in a row, no goals conceded, which is great, but also players getting minutes, and crucially as well, no injuries as well. I suppose that's probably all you're looking for from the day, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it shows how far we've come as well, doesn't it? That we can go into a game like that against like the guys have said there, Luton didn't do a lot wrong, did they? And maybe should have had a goal on another day. But yeah, everybody's getting minutes, no injuries. It's the perfect, if we'd spoke about what we wanted at the start of the game, we'd have wanted a comfortable 2-0 win, no injuries, players getting minutes, players looking good as well. Let's be honest, I don't think there was any one out of the 11 that you looked at today that if they came in that you wouldn't feel comfortable them coming in. You know, and that's Moreira. I mean, you know, players that haven't maybe come into the Premier League side so far. So not your Ramon Sosas and Jota Silva, because we know what they can do. But the guys that maybe aren't have just come in and done a job, and it's comfortable in the hat for the next round. And yeah, like you say, 7 straight wins. Somebody just put in the comments 477 minutes since we conceded a goal. You can't really ask for any more, can you, at the moment?
No. I'm just looking at some of the names in the chat then of people that have done well. I've seen Moreira getting plays, Yates. I think there was a Morato in there as well. Lots of different names. I mean, just pick out. I'll ask you all the same question. Just pick out a couple, Mark, who did their case no harm, even if realistically they're not going to get starts necessarily anytime soon.
Well, we don't sell Bolly. I thought he was good again. I mean, he just makes me feel really reassured back there. So I thought he had a really good game. And, you know, he's like Morato. I know we've got Morato to come on and shore things up and go free at the back, but Bolly's still important. If we're going to go to in away games and play free at the back, we need somebody who can come in and be seamless and slot into the back three if we're going to do that in some games. And so I would keep Bolly. No way I would sell him over this window. I thought he was great. Yeah, Yates played well. Obviously, it's great to see Sosa get his goal and get the assist, because I think with every little step he makes, he's getting more acclimatized, more part of the first team squad and feeling at home here. And it's really important that he starts getting goals and assists to, you know, so he can feel part of that and try and push his way into the 11. Jota was busy as always. He linked up with Taiwo well in the first half. There were some promising signs there. I mean, just overall, like Father says, I look at that 11 and think any of those could step in. Should we get an injury, and we'd have a decent replacement, and that's a really good place to be.
Any different names for you, Paul, or just the ones that Mark mentioned there?
No, mainly the ones that Mark mentioned. I think Jota probably for me shaded sort of man of the match just for his all-round industry and endeavour. Thought Ward-Prowse was very calm and assured as well. He had a steady game in the field alongside Yates. And yeah, Moreira as well looked, you know, like for a young lad. I think he did play 90 against. Did he play 90 against Newcastle? I can't remember, but certainly first time he's played, you know, any length of time for a long time. He looked again assured, calm. I don't think his man beat him once. He looked steady defensively. So yeah, again, all round good performance. No one really, no one let themselves down at all.
Excellent. Feel free to add to that, Fathers. I'll put this one up on the screen. Sosa's going to get a lot of love. He did start the game. He's from South American or Central American, I think it might be. What did you make of Sosa? And does the diving? I mean, I thought he probably dived. I don't know. Does it bother you at all or not? Or is that just the kind of player he is?
Is that to me, Matt? Sorry.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think Sosa's got a lot to offer still. I think he's still a bit raw, if I'm honest. I think Jota Silva, like Paul just said there, I think he edged it. If you're looking at the two of them, he probably edged all of it, to be honest, with everyone else as well, except maybe Yatesy. But I think Ramon Sosa has got a lot more to come, and I think what he needs is some more minutes. He's clearly got the ability. But he does make quite a few mistakes. He does give the ball away quite a lot. But I think that'll come. You know, he's a young lad. He's new to this country. I think he's great to have there to bring on when we need to bring him on. Did want to just touch on Yates's performance. I thought he was brilliant today, and I think he can score goals as well, which he showed today. You know, the one that hit the bar. Obviously he then scored soon after that, but when we had him at Notts County, when I worked there sort of 7-8 years ago, when he was first breaking into professional football, he was scoring goals, he was making those runs into the box. So it's definitely in his armour, and I think he will get more.
I think so. I hope so. What was just looking back into the chat very briefly. Thank you, Jason, for the geography lesson. Paraguay is in South America. Appreciate that. Anthony asked how Taiwo did. We shall come on to Taiwo. We'll do just a section on him towards the end or as we go along, certainly. There are 322 people watching, which is lovely. Do us a favour and hit like if you haven't already. Leads us into the first goal, Mark. A good header by Yates. The kind of header that he's probably missed a few too many times for us, but he guided that one in nicely, and it was a good ball by Sosa, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a nice measured cross by Sosa, which was good to see. And he clearly has got that in him, and a great run from Yates from deep to get on the end of it. Like Fothers says, he has got goals in him when he's given the license to get forward and join the attack, and he took that header well. And it's what we needed, because I was getting a bit nervy that we were going to go in 0-0, and then that would obviously enliven them second half. So yeah, as Paul said at the start, the goals came at the right time, and Yates popped up with that nice header. And yeah, his all-round game probably did make him a standout performer today, because you could tell that he was probably, of all the people on the pitch, the player that has had the most appearances in the Premier League this season, and I think it showed. But Ward-Prowse played a part in that as well. He was very measured behind Yates and allowed Yates to pop up and get that goal, allowing to get forward.
Yeah, and he'd already hit the bar at that point.
Yeah.
Morato did really well for that, didn't he? Are you surprised, Mark, by just Morato's, I don't know, progress or what he is? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what we were getting when we signed him, but are you surprised that he's not as good as Murillo, but he's quite a rounded defender still?
Yeah, it's coming on, isn't he? And today in the free, he was the one sometimes to break and go into the midfield and track the man. So that's what we see when we play the free. We allow at least one centre back to push on. Normally, obviously, it's Murillo, but today, without Murillo there, Morato got that license to get forward, and a few times he did. He looked like a weapon in the second half, didn't he? Like when he got through, he's got a good touch on him. He's obviously got a good stride on him as well. So when coming out of defence, he can prove quite useful. If he does start Tuesday night, I don't want to see him doing that. I want to see him sitting in the back three if we do start with that. But I have a feeling he'll be on the bench, and he'll be that, hopefully, that Morato moment at 60 minutes when we're 1-0 up. So, yeah, he's proven an invaluable asset for us, no doubt. And someone we can bring on behind Milenkovic and Murillo, which is a lovely position to be in, of course.
Do you think Yates was lucky to escape a booking today, Paul? It's probably a moot point, but maybe even that VAR has a look at the one where he caught the lad in the face. I don't think it was a red card, but I suppose the point I'm making is he is the master of walking the tightrope like no one I've seen, isn't he?
It's literally the words I've got written down here, walking a tightrope, yeah. Yeah, he does it all the time, doesn't he? He pretty much does it every game. I mean, obviously, he doesn't always get away with without a booking, but yeah, I think the one where he caught that, I think he caught him in the eye more than anything, didn't he? I think that's why the lad had to go off, because I think his finger sort of caught him in the eye. But there was a few 50-50. I think there's one challenge in the first half, wasn't there, where I think Bolly had just slid in and Yates went in and got there late, and in most Premier League games that looks like that's a yellow card. But no, he manages the referees very well. There's one bit I think where one of their guys was having treatment, and he was stood next to the referee, stretching out, having a chat with the referee. So he manages the referees pretty well. I think that helps him stay on the right side of the line. So yeah, let him, long may he continue doing what he's doing and get in the faces of the opposition and wind up opposition fans. And that's what Yates is all about, isn't it? And to cap it off with his goal today as well. Top all-round performance and basically a captain's performance from Yates, which was great to see.
I'll just take this one from Scott about Sosa. I'm not sure if he's on Everton notes. Do you think Sosa will go out on loan? I can't see them loaning anyone out, can you, Fothers? Unless they bring someone in, you wouldn't be loaning out any of these lads now, would you?
No, I think the job they're doing with Sosa is perfect. I think the way Nuno's using him for minutes in the Premier League is really what he's needing at the minute. And I don't think he's not first 11, is he? He's not a starter, but I don't think he would be one of the ones that he would be looking to move on. I think he's definitely in Nuno's plans, isn't he? And he's clearly I think he's been on the bench pretty much every game. I'd be very surprised if I think Nuno likes him, and I think most of the Forest fans are taking to him. And like I said, I think he's got tremendous potential, and I think he's just getting better and better every time I see him. And I think he'll be absolutely fine. And I don't think we'll be looking to move him on, to be honest.
No, we'll come on to a bit of transfer stuff shortly, but we'll talk about more focus on the game initially before then. just before we do, a reminder that coming up at the Trent Navigation post-match show, 1st of February, the Fun Boy 2 after the Brighton game. I love reading this out. I always get a comment after this every game. 80s, 90s club classics, bangers, anthems, and floor fillers straight after full time at the City Ground from 2:30 p.m. onwards. It's an afternoon set. Obviously, there's food from the barbecue, pizza kitchen, and outside bars. And crucially, entry is free straight after the Brighton game. So there you go. Lovely. Right. Took these into the second goal because a lot of these players we've discussed, Mark, have been involved. I assume that's a good pass from Yates. I'm going to give him the credit. And then Sosa's in the right place. It's good work by Jota. Nice goal. Really.
Yeah. It was a more typical Forest goal, that one, wasn't it? Like a breakaway. Caught them low on numbers and swiftly 3 passes and it's in the back of the net. Yeah, it was what we've seen quite often, not by those 3 players necessarily, but in the Forest team. And that was good. I thought the way we played today was very consistent with the way we've seen the first 11 play. That desire to keep a clean sheet and that threat on the break. So it's obviously running through the squad, that way of playing. And we seamlessly dropped into that way of playing today against Luton. So it was a good goal and great for Sosa, like I say, great for Jota as well. Those two are kind of, they're progressing, aren't they, at the same pace? They're coming forward. Jota's probably had more minutes and probably more likely to get the start. He's had one already in the Premier League. But it is just good to see them progressing and helping each other in that instance there.
Jota, a minute later, before we get onto Taiwo, because I know everyone's talking about him in the chat. A minute later, Jota heads the ball off the line. I thought it was Toffolo, but the other Matt Davies, who's on the show on Monday, had it down as Jota. Any worries there if they scored, Paul, that it would have been interesting, or were you completely confident that the game was done by then?
I was confident. Obviously, had that gone in, it was 20 minutes to go. You start thinking back to the game against Luton last season. 2-0 up, conceding a goal with, I think it was a bit later, wasn't it? 82, 83 minutes last year, but. Obviously, maybe more the crowd than anything else would have started thinking back to last season. But this is, a different set of players with a different mindset than one that we had, back in, would it have been September or August, 18 months or so ago, nearly, when we played Luton last time. So I think even if it had gone in, I would have backed us to weather any storm that was coming and see the game out. But yeah, like I said before, Jota, I've forgotten about that, but yeah. That even sort of adds to his claim, I think, for being Forest's man of the match today. Just that intervention at both ends of the pitch, essentially, which made the difference. So yeah, I was comfortable, and then particularly after that, I think there was nothing really. There was a good save, wasn't there, from Miguel from a header from Morris after about 82, 83 minutes. But again, the keeper did his job. So yeah, we kept them at arm's length largely. I think in those sort of games when you're 2-0 up. And the opposition are always going to, whoever they are, whatever league they're in, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at it to try and get something out of it. And I think, it was I wouldn't even really call it a storm, but there was going to be some chances that we were going to have to deal with. And I thought we did it pretty comfortably.
We'll talk about Taiwo next, because then we made the subs. Just before we do that, Christian asks about James Ward-Prowse. If he starts, does it mean he's here for the season? I mean, West Ham are out of the cup now, so I don't think it has any relevance at all. I think we monitor Douglas Luiz or whoever else comes in, but I thought he played well, to be fair. We'll come on to Danilo and the midfield pecking order, certainly, but I don't think him starting this one has any particular relevance, Christian. Right, Taiwo comes off after 72 minutes. I thought he had an interesting game, Mark. He started really well. What did you make of him overall? He's getting some criticism, but was he that bad, do you think, or not?
No, I mean, he's rusty, isn't he? He's the kind of player who needs minutes. He relies on his physical prowess a lot, his game, relies on his sharpness, and neither of those are there yet. This is his first start for a while, and yes, he got that rather odd start earlier in the season in the Premier League. I can't remember the opponent. Who was that when we started with 2 up front? Fulham, yeah. But yeah, it was a similar outing today where he showed some promise, some bad touches, some bad passes. Always causes the opponent problem. He did link up a few times really well with Jota Silva in particular. He's still some way off, really, having a chance of ousting Chris Wood, I would say. And yes, there's a suggestion that we're looking to move him on and replace him. And I think if the replacement is a stronger player, someone who brings us more options, then absolutely I'm open to that. But I would say that there is a Premier League striker there. We've seen it, and a Premier League striker who can score goals at this level. So, if he is sold on, I think whoever buys him will get a player that can do a job for them. But he needs more time. He needs more minutes, and he needs to get that rustiness out of his legs.
That on Twitter. This comes from there's a Twitter account called ex-West Ham employee, and I know people scoff at the Twitter accounts, and most of the time they're wrong. But he's quite in the know, I would say, and he says that West Ham are considering going for Taiwo again. I don't know how I don't think he fits into a Potter team, but I'd be surprised with that in a sense. But they are really struggling for strikers, and I think obviously, Paul. I think one thing is with PSR, if the deal's right, then would you be tempted with the money? Would you move Taiwo on? And that plays into what you made of his performance today.
Yeah, I think felt like it was a bit of a missed opportunity for Taiwo today. I mean, obviously he had two pretty good chances, didn't he? One in the first half where Ward-Prowse sort of pinged it over the top, and Jota just sort of laid it into his path, and he ran onto it and he sort of scuffed the shot a bit. And then right at the start of the second half, another one. So yeah, it's a shame because obviously, coming off of the Wolves game on such a high, getting that goal at the end, it'd have been perfect if he could have just got one of those two today to keep his confidence boosted. And I guess, just looking at the comments in here and obviously what I've seen on Twitter, seems to have kind of raised more questions than answers, really. And the jury's still out on Taiwo as to whether he can get back to where he was, which then leads into your question, should we cash in if we get an offer? I mean, obviously a lot of it depends on if we can get a replacement, a bit like what Mark said, if we can get somebody that we feel is able to hit the ground running and can take on the mantle of I guess what Taiwo was, and potentially still could be, then it's worth consideration. I'd like personally to stick with him. I'd love him to overcome this spell and come out of it back to where he was, but like Mark says, ultimately he's going to need minutes to do that, and at the moment, whilst over Chris Wood's fit, he's not going to get those minutes unless, of course, the fact that we've progressed in the cup. If he is still with us come whenever it is, 8th of February, 9th of February, he's going to get another start, you would think, as long as nothing happens to Wood in between now and then. He's got another start in a month's time. So, I'd want to stick with him. I think if we can get somebody else in as well, a third striker, then I'd be keen to do that. And then perhaps look to see where we're at the end of the season and then make a decision on Taiwo.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a very Taiwo performance. Like, he started the game well. His link-up play was really good. He's just so unpolished even now, and I don't think that's going to change. The best of him is probably what we saw in the first 15 minutes, and then there's going to be times where he tries to play in Sosa and smashes it out for a goal kick. Chris Wood's link-up play is vastly superior and always will be. But there's also moments in Taiwo where you think, he's going to get a goal, he's going to bully a defender, and it didn't happen today. I mean, I've still got faith in him, but at the back of my mind is PSR, and if someone's going to come in with money, and I don't know what the figure would be, 20 million, 25 million quid, then I think you probably take that, I would say.
Yeah, I would absolutely take that. I mean, right as it stands now, he's not strong enough to come in for Chris Wood if Chris Wood got an injury right now, right? So if we've got the chance to upgrade him and get someone who can, or even, come on for 20 minutes and turn tides in matches, then that's all the better. Taiwo's not ready to do that yet. So, yeah, I mean, 20 million, I would take that for sure.
Yeah, massively. I don't know what you're talking about saying, James, if I had my way, Cooper would still be in charge. That's really not the case at all. I think we all agreed Cooper's time was done when he went. I still think there's a debate about whether a Taiwo is a Premier League player or not. I mean, I think he is, but he's not as good as Chris Wood. I would say is probably where we're at. Fothers, what's your take on it all?
Yeah, well, Taiwo can score goals. We've seen it. There was a run, wasn't there? Probably the season before last now, isn't it? Where he scored, I don't know, 6 in 7 games or 7 straight games or whatever it was. So we know there's a player there. But like you've just said there, Matt, he's not polished. He may well never be the polished striker that you want. And I think for me, what we've done over the course of the last 12 months is we've improved the positions, and we've improved them all gradually, haven't we? There's no, when you look at Mangala playing against us for Everton last week, and we've moved on, we're better than that now. And I think maybe that's where we're at with Taiwo. And I think it's probably I'd like you. I'd love to see him come back. I'd love to see him score some goals. I think the way he puts himself about, the way he's bossed defenders for us in the past, but I'm not 100% sure that player's there. Well, I am 100% sure that player's not there now. And it's whether he can get it back. And I think maybe now, if we can cash in and go one notch better with a better striker, then I think it's definitely time to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Any final words on that topic, Mark, before we move on? There's so much debate around Taiwo.
Yeah, I mean, we're being linked with Yilmaz, aren't we? So he's a player who could absolutely come to this club and be a step up from what Taiwo can offer. And he can play anywhere, but he can play central striker, and so he would be a sign in if we can get there. If we can, there's talk that we've made an offer already, and maybe we're going back in again. We've been after him for a while. I think if we were to sell Taiwo, it was signal to me that we're closing in on the target, and right now we expect that target to be Yilmaz, because we haven't heard of any other names in that position being mentioned. So if that is what happens, if what transpires is Taiwo leaves and we get Yilmaz, I think that's an upgrade.
Yeah. I would say, I don't know much about Yilmaz, but only what you guys and people have told me about him. So I was reading the comments along there. You can't sell Taiwo for 10 million quid without having a replacement in the building and signed. I would say. I think you keep him in that case. I'm only selling him if it's PSR related, and it means you can keep better players, like we sold Mangala and we sold Niakate, and then you replace him. Certainly, we're not going to get Marmoush Gordon. He's going to go to City or something like that. He's
so close.
Yeah, we were so close. I know. Oh, it's mad. But then obviously maybe Chris Wood doesn't get the minutes, and we don't know. We can't complain about anything the way it's going. Certainly.
No.
But we can't go in. We can't go into the last 4 months of the season just with Chris Wood, can we? You've got to have. If that's Taiwo, that's fine, because we know he can do it if he got the minutes. But you can't sell Taiwo and then just go into the games with just Woody, because you just don't know, do you? We've got through today without any injuries, which is massive. Box ticked. But every time they go out, might get injured. And if that's Woody at the minute, then we've sort of got a problem, haven't we?
Yeah, because you can't play. I don't think we've got a different option who can play up front. Like Jota maybe could do a job, but we're trying to get in the Champions League here. So, I agree, certainly. The other player who was sort of under scrutiny to an extent was Carlos Miguel. I felt like he had a bit of a mixed day, Mark. He made a really good save from Morris. He made a sharp save from Jones in the first half. The thing that made it mixed for me was his distribution, a couple of moments, his kicking. He tried to throw one out, which was supposed to be his forte, so you can't judge him on that one throw, but it went pretty horribly. And he probably sort of similar to Taiwo. He's way behind Matt Sells, isn't he, I guess, at the moment? Yeah,
he's way behind, but he's still. I'd much rather have Miguel there than Matt Turner in reserve. So, we're in a much better place than we were. I think his shot stopping and his presence were fine. He came in handy when the ball got slung into the box a couple of times. So, I think he's a very solid backup keeper. I do think that, we'll still look again at the keeper position in the summer, because I don't think we're absolutely settled on Miguel being the solution and the backup to Sells. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if we sign someone to push Sells harder than Miguel can do. But for now, I think we're in a great position, and I think his performance today was decent. I mean, he threw the ball out once. His kicking wasn't as good, but Sells is a very good keeper in terms of distribution. So we've been spoilt, really, and that was a big upgrade from Turner as well, of course.
Yeah, I think that's right, Paul, isn't it? I wouldn't be surprised at all if we look for another keeper in the summer, but Miguel's an adequate number 2, isn't he? And the benefit is he's going to get at least one more game, isn't he, in the FA Cup now as well? Yeah,
absolutely. I maybe slightly disagree with Mark there, in the sense that I think Miguel it has elevated Sells. I think if you think of last season when Sells came in, he was pretty much guaranteed to be starting every week no matter what, because there was no faith in what was behind him. Whereas now we've seen how Sells has elevated his levels, and obviously what we don't see what goes on in training. But my hunch would be that Miguel is doing well in training. I think Nuno said the other day, didn't he? He'd love to be able to give him more minutes, but Sells is obviously just, quite rightly keeping the shirt. So I think Sells is being pushed by Miguel. I think from a goalkeeping perspective, old-fashioned goalkeeping perspective, in terms of shot stopping and commanding his box and all that sort of stuff, today he did pretty much everything that was asked of him. Obviously, he kicked a couple out for throw-ins and threw one out, but maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned when it comes to goalkeeping. I want my goalkeepers mainly to be there to stop the ball from going in the net and stuff like 60-yard passes as a bonus. But yeah, no, I think I'm more than comfortable with Miguel to the end of the season. And then obviously if something like Kelleher becomes available, then maybe it's a different conversation. But for now, I'm very comfortable with him being the backup. If anything happened to Sells, I'd be comfortable with him coming in playing league games from what I've seen today and what I saw against Newcastle. And then let's, a bit like we said with Taiwo a minute ago, let's reevaluate when we get to the summer, see where we are, and if there's any other options, then all well and good.
Yeah, he also made a pretty comfortable save, but he did a good job of tipping one over the bar as well. First half from distance. So yeah, he did fine for me. It's just the thing that with the slight bit of weakness with the distribution. Thank you, Peter. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. That'd be great. 475 people watching, which is lovely. The icing on the cake for this, I guess, is Danilo coming on after 84 minutes, but also he came on and played well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He made a couple of really good headers to sort of link the play. He got cheered every time he touched it. It's so good to see him back, isn't it? When you think, I mean, it's only 4 or 5 months ago that they were putting that barrier around him because nobody wanted to see what he was going through, and to see him come back from that and look lively, look sharp. He again, it's like a new signing, isn't it? It's like a new signing coming in, and yeah, it's going to take him time to get a start. Well, to get back into the starting 11. But again, another player on the bench that you can look at bringing on who can just sit in there and just keep playing like he does. It's great to see him back. Really delighted for him. I love the reception he got, and yeah, let's hope he comes from strength to strength. Yeah.
What about the midfield pecking order then now, Mark, with another name in the mix? Obviously, we're looking at someone. We've got Ward. We just touched on Ward-Prowse. I guess with Danilo, you have to hand him a kid glove still, don't you? 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there for at least the rest of the month.
Yeah, I mean, we're spoilt now, aren't we, really? And I don't know how far away Sangari is as well. But yeah, Danilo, we can take our time. It was like the Taiwo situation when he got back on grass. We didn't have to rush him into the team because we had Chris Wood on such form, and that's still the case. And with Danilo, it's the same situation. We've got Dominguez, we've got Yates, and the midfield, and Anderson, of course, who's been outstanding. So that midfield is settled. We know what a likely setup will be for Liverpool, and it will be that for a while. But Danilo will push them, there's no doubt, because he did come on and look really bright, and he didn't look like a player who had been sidelined for so long. He looked like he'd already had minutes in his legs and was ready to go. So that's a brilliant situation to be in, and it's such an important position, and he's going to be very, very useful coming into games with 15-20 minutes to go. And he's got a little bit, unlike Dominguez, I think he's got that little bit of X factor that can do something out of the ordinary. And, we know he can take his goals well as well if he gets into the box. Dominguez can do that, but he's less prone to do that. He's more prone to sit. Whereas Danilo breaks into the box and links well with the attackers, and we've seen him do that in previous seasons. And that's a lovely thing to have on the bench to bring on.
Yeah, I think so. Do I think he makes the bench for Liverpool? I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah, probably. Probably. I think he could do. He could come on and do a job in the final few minutes. The other thing, this is a good point about Danilo, that not all our midfielders have, but he does offer, his first instinct is to go forwards, isn't it? Sorry, that's the right comment from NJL, Paul. His first instinct is to look forwards, and we don't always have that from our midfielders.
No, absolutely. I think we've seen lots of different combinations in midfield this season, haven't we? The one that we haven't seen yet, which I'm really excited to see at some point, is Danilo and Anderson together. Two really dynamic players who can do, they're probably the most similar in terms of their abilities to be able to go box to box, I think. And that's one combination that we haven't seen yet. And at some point in the season, I think that would be a really exciting pair to see line up together behind Gibbs White. The threat going forward, but also the energy in the middle of the park to probably match most teams, I would think, in the league. So yeah, I'm great that Danilo's come back. I think like you say, just manage it carefully. No need to rush him, and hopefully in a month or so's time, he's pushing for a start, and it'd be interesting to see what Nuno does.
Just finishing up on the game then, before we talk a little bit about Liverpool, before we go, do play along in the chat as well. I've come tradition to ask for man of the match. I'll do Paul and Fothers first, because I think they've already given their answers. Was it Jota for you, Paul, or anyone else?
Yeah, I'll go with Jota. Yeah.
What about you, Fothers?
Yates for me. I thought he was outstanding today.
Very good. Mark, what about you?
I'm going to go Bolly just for sentimental reasons. I mean, Yates was good and he got his goal, but I just feel so secure when I see Bolly on the pitch, and I thought he deserves a tip of the hat to say, to thank him for that performance, because it's very tough for him. Not so long ago was he our best defender. Obviously Murillo's emerged, and now Milenkovic has come in, and there's not a place for him. But he performed well, and he's very useful to have on the bench. So I'll give it to him just to be different.
It's a shame Willy Bolly's not 5 years younger, isn't it? Because I think he's clearly coming to the end, which is why we have to use him where we can. But you're right, he's a little bit like a Rolls Royce centre half, isn't he? The way there was one today where he just in the box, he just nicked it away from the foot of I think it was Morris who turned, or Adebayo played Morris through, and Bolly just nicked it off him. He is quality, and he's great to be able to as well. And he's only our fourth best centre half. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, Omobamidele wasn't in the squad today, which I assume means he's going out on loan, by the way. I can't imagine anything else, because Zach Abbott was on the bench as well. A few people know that on Twitter. Looking at some names in the chat then, I've got a Yates, a Jota, a Bolly, another Jota, a Bolly, a Ward-Prowse from Dan. I've got a Sosa, and I've got a Moreira. So, yeah, I mean, I would have thrown Morato into there as well. There's a Morato. I thought Morato was very good. I mean, Jota was probably the one for me, but I think Morato's so good. I think he's coming on really well. I look forward to seeing him next season. So, yeah, it's good that there was a good variety of names mentioned there. Right, over 500 people watching, which is lovely. Do hit like, as I keep saying. Right, we shall talk about the Liverpool game, but before we do that, thank you very much to Nottingham Window Company for being the second sponsors of all our post-match shows. I assume everyone's really needed their windows because it's been like -4, -5, and I haven't felt the temperature drop at all, unless I went outside and defrosted my car for about 30 minutes. So yeah, feels like a good time to buy new windows and new doors if you're freezing your ass off at home at the moment. So do check the link in the description. Right. Liverpool Tuesday. It's up on the agenda next. Total focus on it, Paul. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling good. I don't think we should be. I mean, look, if one or two things can happen, we can get beat, and most people go, okay, fine, we lost against Liverpool. I think most pundits would expect that, so we're not gonna get a hammering. We may get a few comments like, oh well, this has put them back in their place, and let's see what happens to them now. Or we could go out there, and I mean the City Ground is going to be absolutely rocking, isn't it? So it's going to be a great occasion, whatever happens. I'm looking forward to it. I think we can get something from the game. They looked. I mean, I don't read anything into today's performance, but in the cup, they looked a bit off it. Salah was very quiet against Spurs. They got rattled a bit, didn't they, with Bergvall not getting sent off and scoring the goal. So there's a few chinks there, just starting to appear. I think you had, I think it was Carragher and Sturridge arguing with each other in the Sky Sports studio after the Man U game as well. So you can see that they're just starting to get a little bit edgy. And yeah, do I fancy us? I wouldn't necessarily say I fancy us to win, but fancy us to give them a really good game and put the wind up them. And yeah, it would be fantastic if we could get 3 points. But if you offered it me now, I'd probably take a point, to be honest. But I'm really looking forward to it, whatever happens.
Yeah, I mean, I am sort of predicting a 1-1 draw if I had to predict a score. I think Paul makes a good point there, Fothers, about Liverpool Obviously, they're top class, but you do see a couple of chinks in their armour the last couple of weeks. So how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I'm quite confident going into it. I think, like Paul, I think I'd definitely take a point. But what I don't want us to do is show them we did to Arsenal, and I think to a certain extent to Manchester City as well. Just go in there and yeah, you don't fear them. Don't, you know, I've watched them a couple of times recently. You know, the Man United game, and I know he made a few changes in the week for the Tottenham game, but I don't think they look anything special at the moment. And I think it's a good time to be playing them. I'm surprised that we're still the only team that have beaten them, apart from obviously Tottenham did in the week. But yeah, I'm really excited. You know, the lights are going to be on at the City Ground. There's going to be, like Paul says, it's going to be absolutely rocking on Tuesday night. Since we've played them twice since we got promoted, they robbed us last year, didn't they, with that ridiculous decision by the referee in the last 3 minutes, whatever it was, in stoppage time, and we beat them the year before. We've got absolutely nothing to fear. So start on the front foot. Don't necessarily take it to them, because we don't do that, do we? We don't take it to sides, but let's just treat it like any other game, and we've got a chance, haven't we? And imagine if we got something and then we're 3 points off the top. It's just maybe people might start taking us seriously.
Maybe so. Looking at their fullback situation's interesting, Mark. I mean, I feel like Robertson's a player slightly on the decline. Alexander-Arnold, everyone's been a buzz today, seeing that, you know, he's starting against Accrington. I don't read too much into that because Conor Bradley's coming back from injury, but there's areas you can get at them, I suppose, is what I'm saying. But also, obviously, we have to be wary of just how good they are at the same time. Yeah,
that's exactly where we'll target. I mean, they should be wary of us from wide positions. I mean, I think if we tackle Langer and Hudson-Odoi in, it does look as though with Morato starting today, we are going to set up with a back four with both those wingers playing. So that's front foot. That's, you know, as Paul said, that's going in without any fear. I think you know, they're the standout Premier League team. There's no question. But if there is going to be a good time to play Liverpool to this point, this would be it, because, you know, they're not sparkling when they're winning games. They're getting through games, they're getting results, but they're not at their peak at the moment compared to where they were earlier in the season, compared to where they were when we went there and beat them. And I also think you're right. I think there's an inkling that there's maybe some cracks in the camp, maybe. Obviously, the contract situation has been a cloud over them for a while with Salah, Van Dijk and Trent. That's still not resolved. So if there are any cracks, coming to the City Ground under lights is not Slot's chosen match, I wouldn't have thought, because it's going to be a test. I want us to really stretch them, really test them. Even if we lose, if we give them a really good game and give them, you know, they come off the pitch knowing they've had a really torrid time against us, then we'd have shown our best and really tested them. So it's also I'm nervously excited because it's a yardstick as well. It's like we've obviously now won 7 in a row. We're speculating about where this is going to end. Well, there's no better way of measuring where we are and where it could end than playing the league leaders at the City Ground. So I'm really excited about the game, and there are ways we can get to them. There may be some cracks in them in the camp, and I think we've got a great opportunity to expose that and get at least a point out of the game.
I think there's only one team that goes into that game with something to lose, and it's not Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I will discuss this on Monday. This is a point I'm going to raise on Monday, but I'll mention it now then. Where you say there, Paul, do you think the Liverpool players' attitude, even subconsciously, is slightly different to if they were playing an Arsenal, who've got the same number of points as us? Do Liverpool go into it slightly more, I don't know, overconfident, relaxed, whatever the word is? Do you think that's a small factor or not?
Could be, yeah. I mean, I guess that's down to the manager, isn't it, to get them in the right frame of mind ultimately. So it'll be a test for him. And I know there's a lot of stuff out there on the socials about how much we've got in his head. He obviously keeps mentioning the defeat to us and stuff. So yeah, and I'm sure he'll have them prepared. And you know, look, they're absolute professionals, aren't they? All of them, and I'm sure they'll come into the game in the right frame of mind. But like you say, human nature, isn't it? You know, going to the Emirates in front of 60,000 or coming to little old Forest with 30,000, hopefully making as much noise as the Emirates would with 60, then it might just give them a little bit of a surprise, and that's where we can get at them, fast start, unsettle them, and who knows what can happen.
Excellent. Right, just before we get to final thoughts from all the chaps, and then we shall leave you. If you've enjoyed this, do us a favour, hit like, do subscribe, and you can consider membership or Patreon. A few lovely perks there if you do, or just give us a good 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Fothers, anything you want to say? Anything you want to add before we depart?
No, I don't think so. Just looking forward to the cup draw. When is the cup draw, by the way? I've not looked.
I guess it's on Monday or Tuesday, isn't it?
No, it's after the Arsenal game.
When's that? Tomorrow?
Yeah.
So no games on Monday?
Yeah.
There is, but they're doing the draw tomorrow.
Just looking for...
Sorry, Fothers. Try again, Fothers.
Yeah, just looking forward to the draw. Hopefully another home draw, and another full house at the City Ground. And who knows where the FA Cup run could take us, and who knows where we could finish in the league. But boy, are we enjoying it right now.
Have you got us winning the league and the cup, Fothers? We're doing a double.
No, I'm still looking at the bottom three, Matt, as you know. So
you can't
No, I think we will finish in the top 10 now.
Lovely. Apparently we're ball 28 in the draw, so keep your eye out for that. Apparently so, to know the squad number. Yeah, lovely. Paul, anything from you before we go?
Well, I backed Forest to win the FA Cup this morning. 50 to 1 I got. 50 to 1.
50 to 1?
50 to 1, yeah. Bet 365.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Man United had drawn it away at Liverpool and they were 16 to 1. And you got Fulham 25 to 1. I just thought it was, I'm not necessarily thinking we will win the cup, but it just seemed like too good to turn down. So I think I put a comment, didn't I, in the show the other day. The team that's gone into the third round weekend sitting third in the league's won the cup 5 of the last 8 seasons. So look, onwards and upwards. I think in terms of next round, I'd love to see, we've got unfinished business with Mark Robbins, haven't we, from 35 years ago. So I'd like to see Stoke at home.
Oh God, I never want to play Stoke again.
We've got demon. We've got to get our own back on Stoke. We could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Stoke,
let's get the whole book of grudges out, shall we? And go through. Who else can we get?
Take Stoke down. But I guess on a serious note, that would be a similar draw that we had this time would be a good opportunity to both progress, but also again, use the squad players without having to hopefully dip too much into the main squad that's concentrating on the league, and give them a good test, but also one that they can hopefully come through. So hopefully for a home draw and ideally against a similar profile team would be good.
This is just Googling quickly. We're still 45 to 1 to win the Premier League. Arsenal are 5 to 1, and we've got the same number of points as them. I don't think we will. I think Liverpool are going to win the league comfortably ultimately, but it's just a bit funny, how completely written off we are. It's all based on data as well, I guess. So we'll see. Mark, anything from you before we go?
No, I'm just looking forward to the FA Cup draw, and hopefully we get another team. I've got a grudge against Brentford, but we can't, can we? Because they got knocked out today. So, oh dear. So, it's a measure of how far we come, isn't it? Because not so long ago we were looking up to Brentford and thinking that's the model, that's what you need to do to stay in the Premier League and aspiring to that. And now we're well above them and still in the FA Cup, and they're mid-table probably. We've come a long way in a very short space of time, and whoever we get in the draw, I don't really fear anyone. And I'm not a gambling man, but those odds that Paul quoted there are very tempting indeed, because we are set up to win matches away from home on the counter, and we're obviously still strong at home where the City Ground's a very intimidating place to come. So I think we're a good cup team. We've got the makeup of a good cup team, and clean sheets, 7 successive wins. I think, why not? Let's have a cup one as well. Let's get greedy.
Excellent. Question for Fothers. Thomas Holodinsky. I think I know that guy. Fothers, are you doing a pre-match quiz at the Big Shed for Liverpool?
I'm not actually. So the pre-match quizzes are just weekends. So I'll be back at the usual time around about 12 o'clock next Saturday for... Sunday. Sorry, it's Sunday, isn't it? It's 2 o'clock, 11:30 against Southampton. So it's 2 o'clock kickoff against Southampton. So we'll be on stage from about 11:30 next Sunday morning. But no, not midweek.
Okay, I'm sure that Liverpool game's televised. So if it is, you can go down to the NAV and you can watch the game anyway and enjoy all the build-up. If you're not lucky enough to have a ticket, I'm talk about the hottest ticket in town. It's definitely that one. The game. Oh yeah, the game's on TNT Sports because
TNT. Yeah.
Fletcher's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. Get down to the Nav before the game and enjoy that, and then you can watch it while you're there. So yeah, you have to type that next thing in quickly, Tom, if you're going to get it in, because I'm about to end the stream. So we're going to go any second. We'll be back on Monday, by the way, 11:30 a.m. with Prutz, Greg, and Matt Davis Adams, who commentated on the game today on the Premier League, on the World Feed. So looking forward to hearing his thoughts on the game. We will have a Liverpool opposition preview with Josh Williams, who's distance cover on Twitter, who's a very interesting guy. I'm looking forward to hearing what he says. That will be out probably Tuesday morning or Monday afternoon. Might have 2 pods in the day, and then a post-match stream on Tuesday night, which Mark will be around for on that. And then Wednesday we'll carry on. I'm not sure. It might be Gary. I'm not sure who was the main guest on that one. Right. Paul Morley, thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure as always.
Paul Morley. I can't say Paul Morley again. Thank you very much. Fathers, thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for asking me. Enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it a lot, yeah. Mark Sutherns, thank you very much.
Thank you all. We continue. It rolls on. It's getting boring now, these post matches, but long may it continue.
I know. It looks like you're doing some stretches there. Look, you're getting so bored.
Warming up for Tuesday.
Exactly. Right. Thanks very much, everyone. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy your weekend. And if we don't see you on Monday, we shall see you soon.